Evkaristo and Kalimera. With this, I finish my Greek. Thank you. Anyway, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation and to give EUCROF the opportunity to be present in such a nice opportunity, such a nice conference with so many people interested in our work. I mean not EUCROF, but the work we share with all the people here interested in developing clinical trials and drug development in general. We are all fighting, as I heard from the previous speaker, to get more clinical trials in Europe in general. You fight for your country, we fight for the entire Europe, but it's the same objective. So I'm going to explain you with few slides what is EUCROF, because we believe we have built it up something of some meaning, which might be useful for everybody with the common objectives that we share. EUCROF is the European CRO Federation, which is born in 2005-06 on between the 2 years. So it has just accomplished the 10th year of existence. It's born from the initiative of several CRO associations which started to feel the need to talk with the higher level of the authorities at the European level. Now it is enlarged in representativeness, and as you see, we cover 17 countries. Maybe this works? Yes. This is the image of our coverage, geographic coverage. We, as of November 2015, we hope to enlarge it as much as possible. Nevertheless, we have, as you have seen, over 300 companies belonging to our federation, with over 20,000 employees in clinical development. So we really think that we represent a significant segment of the drug development in Europe. For this reason, we more and more are respected and invited to contribute to the EMA initiative, to the issue of new regulations, to discuss and to contribute with our opinion on the possible consequences of new regulation. So our activity is becoming more and more complex, and the National Association of Greece, together with the other national association, is providing human resources on a volunteer basis, of which we really need, because we are more and more invited to sit at tables with the EMA to discuss our opinion. So we need people, and encourage those belonging to Hacro association to listen to the distribution of our call for volunteers, because it's a great opportunity for all of you who wants to be there to grow professionally and have a view on the European stage, which more and more will influence our activity, day-by-day activity. So just to give you an idea of our mission, we are a non-legal entity, and we intend to represent the interest of CRO in Europe versus regulatory bodies and all the stakeholders of pharma industry, medical device. We enlarged this to patients associations recently, and healthcare industry in general, and So we promote clinical trials and the culture on clinical trials. So on this objective, we organize regular webinars. Some of them are free of charge. Some of them are with a political price less than €100 just to get back our expenses. So you will receive our program for training, which is a high level. I think we received the feedback on this with the judgment of the level of scientific training that we are able to deliver. So we have some of you who has seen the updated slide would complain that it's not updated this slide. Anyway, it's to give you the idea that we also have branches through which we act, which are the working groups. The working groups are specialized in different activities, and these are open to the contribution of anyone willing to be part of it, provided that really works on that, which means participate to teleconferences, having the opportunity to arrive to open papers, to write articles, to participate in conferences. We give support delivering, if required by the working group, questionnaires to collect information on opinions currently ongoing in Europe to have an idea on different topics. A great contribution is being given by the pediatric working group, which is now permanently present at the tables of EMA, participating in the regulations and the guidelines on pediatric clinical trials. Very interesting topics. On clinical trial legislation group, we participate and contribute with our comments to the draft guidelines. So those who participate there would be able to have in advance a glance, and more than a glance, to study what is going to be the rule governing our activity. Then we have a late phase working group dedicated to all the problems and of the late phase studies. Recently, the late phase working group has performed a survey discovering the great differences in definitions, for instance, within European countries. So that's suggesting to the authorities to discuss about definitions and finding out also great differences in costs to conduct late phase clinical trials in different countries in Europe. Thus giving substance to local discussion to find out why a certain country is cheap, while another is super expensive. By the way, Italy is super expensive. Don't worry, it's not Greece. Education and training working group is the working group delivering the training, the webinars, as I said, and organizing every year, participating to organization every year, a year and a half to an international conference. We did already started 2 years ago. We had 2 successful conferences. The next one will be next year, 2016, in Prague, October 17 and 18. You are all invited to participate. And then we have the early phase working group, on which, with which we have worked to the purpose recently to fight for the transparency regulation, and we successfully obtained a delay in the number of months of mandatory publication of the results of clinical trials that, according to the appendix of the clinical trial regulation, which is published already. You are all aware of that. The appendix on transparency provided that every clinical trial of any phase, including phase 1, had to be published after 12 months from the end of trial. So we obtained with our 1-year work, lobbying documents provided because we wanted to protect Europe from the diversion of phase 1 clinical trials, which would migrate elsewhere, because obviously if phase 1 study has the risk and the opportunity to discover some patentable results, that would be compromised if the publication is mandatory within 12 months. So we obtained 18 months delay in addition to the 12. So we arrived to 30 months, which is quite acceptable, better than 12, obviously. And on the medical device working group, also we talk about the legislation differences on development of a medical device. Communication working group is taking care of our activity and communication issues. A recent new working group is the new technologies, which more and more involve our work. And so we need to know what is required and to discuss this with the authorities. Yesterday we were in London at the EMA, 3-4 of us, to talk about this subject with the requirements of some new technologies, and particularly how to archive the problem of archiving the clinical trial data. You know that the new clinical trial regulation provides 25 years of archives. And so I was impressed by one question raised during the meeting yesterday, which was, do you remember 25 years ago how we had archived our data? And then we were all thinking about floppy disks in the best instance, or tapes, well, now we have all digitals. What is going to be in 25 years from now? How we are going to transfer all this data along the way? So it's a great issue to think about. On the other side, I would say it's also a great opportunity for new business, for a CRO who would want to dedicate resources to find out a good solution to guarantee this, because all hospitals will have this problem. All the clinical trials will need to be archived for 25 years. What archive would save this data for such a long time? So I go directly to outsourcing management, which comes from the initiative of one of our members, who is taking care of relationship with the purchase offices of pharma industry, who decides how our work of CROs is evaluated. So the key performance indicators have been discussed and shared with the pharma industry to arrive together to objectives on quality. One more working group is under construction, I would say, with the help of one of your colleagues who will probably be the chair of the working group and is on pharmacovigilance. This is born in September, October, when EMA invited us to participate in another table on pharmacovigilance, and we didn't know how to manage that, and so we sent around the network of UCROF a call for volunteers, and one of your members, manager, responded to be apt to do it with a good CV, and he went to represent us. So this is just to give you a glance, is a very complex machine that at a certain point releases position paper. This was on the transparency part of the work I have described before, and this is another example. This slide is taken from the EMA work we are doing as invited to contribute to the portal. You know that the portal will be the database in which all clinical trials to be performed in Europe, even only in one country, should go through. This is not to be read by you. It's obviously just to give you a glance on the complex mechanism of the application and how it will be managed. We went, our delegation, to 7 meetings already to work, discuss each single step of this. We, just to give you an update on what is going on with that, and the question for many would be around Europe when clinical trial regulation will become really to be followed, will start. Obviously, the portal is a condition. When the portal will be ready for the applications, at the same time, the clinical trial regulation will be implemented. And then, so this is the key. The portal is almost at the end of the phase of design, theoretical design, which means that probably within the end of the first quarter 2016 will be delivered to the programmers. Yesterday I talked with someone at the EMA who is very well informed about the condition of the advancement, and he said that the provider of the software has to be changed because was not satisfactory, the one they chose it before, so they have to start now the phase of selection, which means that they will take at least 6 months to program it. After that will follow a testing phase and an auditing phase, which brings everything to the beginning of 2017, in the best cases. I recall for you that once this has been approved and together the EMA approves the 2 facts that the portal is working and the clinical trial regulation can be implemented, all this will be published in the official gazette, and then will take other 6 months to be active after the publication. So we arrive far into 2017, to give you the idea. So you have a lot of time to study and to be prepared for this opportunity. That's all. Thank you.